Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany Cleveland. Thank you so much for joining the Webinar Wednesday professional development web series for our college access and admissions community. Today, we are bringing you a very special live Q&A to address COVID-19 and its implications on the college admissions and enrollment landscape. And most importantly, we have invited some of our college admissions friends. Hello, let me show your faces there. Joining us live is Veronica Hawad, Deputy Director of Admissions and for Access, Affordability, and Inclusion at University of Chicago. Hello, Veronica.
Hello, everyone.
And Andrew Moe, Director of Admissions at Swarthmore University. As I mentioned, I'm your host, Brittany Cleveland, the Senior Manager of Partner Engagement here at collegegreenlight.com, where we support the needs of over 15,000 registered college access counselors and 200 leading colleges and universities across the nation, providing free online college admissions and scholarship resources for first-generation and under-resourced college-bound students. Launched in 2012 by CapEx.com, our mission continues to close the information and opportunity gap across the access community, students, as well as their families. And if you're new to our community, we say hello, welcome to the Green team. We welcome you to create a free counselor account at collegegreenlight.com. And once completed, you'll gain access to our user-friendly online tools to help your students find scholarships to pay for college, research diversity admissions programs, and explore virtual campus tours. And if you need any help creating your account, please type "sign me up" in the chat box to the right or below, or contact our team at info@collegegreenlight.com to get started. All right, team, to maximize today's webinar, we have some housekeeping tips and some goodies for you as well. So first things first, click the button below to download College Greenlight's COVID-19/admissions online resource packet. It includes links to new worksheets and resources to CapEx's new student resource dashboard that includes virtual tours, updated acceptance dates, and links to admissions COVID policies and changes. Second, take a peek at our new first-gen student questions worksheet to help your seniors get their questions answered in order to make informed college decisions. And lastly, if you'd like to participate in upcoming counselors' virtual visit programs hosted by college admissions teams across the country, please complete College Greenlight's new virtual visit opportunity and use the sign-up form. I hope you all find these resources helpful. And again, make sure you click that link at the bottom to download. And second, housekeeping. Use the chat box to your right or to your bottom of the screen to add comments or ask questions. If you need to leave early, it's completely okay. We will send the slides and the recording for you all to review within the next 24 hours. And please don't forget, sharing is caring. So forward over to your students and your colleagues and our friends. Also, I just wanted to let you all know that we will be incorporating live Q&A. So if you all have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to ask those questions throughout today's presentation. All right, so on with the show. I wanted to take the time out to have a proper introduction to Veronica and Andrew. First, we wanted to say thank you so much. Welcome. We know that our counselors find this information invaluable, and we can't thank you all enough for showing up for the call of duty. And this has been a topic requested by our counselor community. And Veronica, Andrew, last week, we reached out to you all and you all swiftly accepted, and we're really happy to have you all here, and thank you so much. So I am going to go ahead and just talk a little bit about today's agenda, and we can jump into introductions. All right, for today's agenda, we've split our Q&A in two sections. The first 25 to 30 minutes, we'll ask our panelists prompted questions that we've sourced from the audience responses from the registration form. Those questions will be organized by topics related by cohort. For example, our current seniors class of 2020 and our current juniors class of 2021. And we will then open up the floor for Q&A from the audience as well. All right, team, let me go ahead and have you all introduce yourself. Veronica, ladies first, please introduce yourself. Let us know who you are and why you're excited about joining our Access community today.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you everyone for logging in today. My name is Veronica. I work in the undergraduate admissions office at the University of Chicago. Prior to that, I've worked in admissions at Kenyon, which is an institution that I attended. I specifically have worked in both offices with the Access teams, so the admissions counselors and other members in the office across campus who are thinking about our underrepresented students coming in point of entry and then also transitioning them to campus. I absolutely love this work. It's really fun. It's such a privilege to do it. And it's a real honor to pay it forward. So I was a first gen, low income kid, immigrant family. There was no rhyme or reason to my college search. So I'm just really excited that it all kind of happened by accident. And now I'm in the position to help, lead a team that does really good work for students who are just like us.
Thank you. And Andrew.
Yeah, my name is Andrew Moe, and I'm Director of Admissions at Swarthmore College right now. Previously, this is my first year as director. What a first year it's been so far. Previously, I spent 4 years as Director of Access, which was a new position developed at Swarthmore to really focus more broadly on underserved students. So low-income, first-generation, rural and small-town community college transfer students, undocumented students, religiously different. There's just, the list just goes on in a lot of ways for my institution. Previous to Swarthmore, I spent 6 years at Vanderbilt University working in admissions as well. I'm also first generation, low income to college, and had no clue how any of this worked. I had no counselor to help me. And so I'm really thankful for this community that College Greenlight has pulled together today to address some of the concerns that you have. I don't think we have all the answers. We are making decisions daily and decisions that we've never made before. So bear with us. Thanks for your patience in advance. And if we don't have the answers to your questions, maybe we can collectively come up with those together.
Thank you, team. And I wanted to piggyback on that same sentiment. We are so honored to have Andrew and Veronica here to provide us with a little bit more ears on the ground and insights. But we also know that they are two of the very many universities and colleges. And so their views are not entirely reflective of the entire landscape of admissions, but they wanted to provide you all with just a little bit of what they're hearing from their colleagues and providing you all with best practices or just some insights just to kind of contextualize your conversations with your students and their families and how you all are going to take the next steps in advising your students moving forward. All right. So with that being said, I wanted to open up the question to you, Andrew. And you are our current senior class of 2020 expert. So I will definitely direct those questions to you. But Veronica, if you have any other insights that you wanted to add on to Andrew's comments, please feel free to chime in. I will also open it up to any of my counselors in the audience or any colleges who we have in the audience. If you all have any advice or feedback that you would like to share, please feel free to direct that to the comment section. All right, Andrew, first question. What are colleges doing to support admitted students in making their decisions?
Yeah, so I think we're really trying to meet students where they are. And what I mean by that is really understanding the context in which they're living right now. And so we understand that schools are closed or are closing. They have moved completely virtually in a lot of ways. And so students they're really overwhelmed. That's what I've been hearing from my counselor colleagues in understanding how does a school day work virtually while grappling with social distancing and the other things that that students are going through. I mean, normal teenage stuff, right? That students are going through as well. And that's at the intersection of their college admissions decisions. And certainly there's some good news around as well as not so good news. And so we need to help students through a particularly difficult time. I think what we are trying to do is think outside of the box. We're thinking innovatively about if a student is not able, for example, to partake in virtual admitted student events or hangouts or tours or whatnot, what can we offer students? How can we still get that information to them so that they can take advantage of getting to know who we are and what our community is all about? So we're thinking through things like, does a student have access to internet? Does a student have access to Wi-Fi or high speed? Or do they not have that kind of access? And that's really across the board, different geographic locations, different schools and school systems. So we're thinking about that. I think we're working as quickly as possible. I want to say it caught us off guard. We knew it was happening in January in China, but I don't think we really realized the impact it would have on our process and the admissions process for our students. And so within a couple of weeks, we really are moving everything to virtual admitted events or electronic in some ways. And so bear with us as we put those pieces together. I know many of us have released decisions and we haven't released our yield plans, or maybe we're releasing those in a piecemeal function. So we're trying to communicate directly with students and their families. And so just know that we're acting as quickly as we can. And I think we're all thinking about things like expanding office hours and doing one-on-one Skype sessions with students and trying to make ourselves as available as we can. I'm working 12 hours a day, just trying to get this off the ground. And I think all of our admission officers are across the board. And so know that we're trying to think about some of those things with regard to timing, and we know that international students are around the world. And so we, for example, are setting up virtual hangouts. We have about 100 hangout sessions that are coming up here in the coming weeks. And we're starting those at 6 a.m. and we're going until, 10 p.m. or midnight. I can't remember what we landed on. And just throughout the day so that students can pop in and talk to current students as if you were going to the lounge when you're on campus and just talking about their authentic experience. So we're doing as much as we can and as quickly as we can, but we certainly are constantly thinking about the support for our admitted students.
Thank you. And just a follow-up question. For those students who are admitted and want to know more about office hours or even counselors or the virtual hangouts, what is the best way to get in front of the admissions team?
Yeah, so probably the best way, every admission office is going to be a little different, but there's usually information either on the student's portal. So many of us use portals for you to receive your admissions decision. So some of us have some bells and whistles on the portal with links to registration forms, for example. Some of us are putting together an admitted student website where we sent out a link to students to check that out. And then others are doing things either maybe in a Facebook group or in a Wiser group or other electronic means. I would just encourage students to just pay attention to your email and the things that we're sending you, because we're spending a lot of time drafting and redrafting and going back and forth on language and programs and these sorts of things. We're not just putting these together like last second. So just pay attention to what we're sending out and the various means. And if you're not getting that type of information as a student, feel free to reach out and ask, and email the admissions office or email your regional director and say, hey, I'm admitted, I'm really excited, and I'd really like to get started with sort of sorting out all of my admissions decisions, and I want to get to know your community. So it never hurts to reach out and ask either.
Absolutely, and we're getting a couple of questions from the audience that mention that they have reached out to the admissions team, but unfortunately it goes straight to voicemail. What I advise you all to do is the universities usually have a central phone number, and so definitely use that as a resource or a guide, or try sending an email out to the director or even an employee or representative in the admissions office.
Yeah, and I would say as an extension to that, so we recently had to make the decision to not accept like central phone calls because we don't have a reception staff there to do that. We're still responding to voicemails in my office, but we are encouraging everyone just to email us. And if we want to if a counselor or a CBO needs to set up a Skype session or we need to do something like that, we're more than happy to do that. So I apologize on behalf of all colleagues that it's just going straight to voicemail, and certainly follow up again or try a different avenue.
Thank you.
We're in the same position. I mean, none of us are in our offices, so we have to dial in, get voicemail. Some of us are getting voicemail to our emails. So we're following up on calls as we can, but email will be the best just for the immediate future. Yeah,
that's right.
All right. This leads us to our next question. Are colleges extending their reply dates?
Some are. Some colleges are. And so, extending deadlines and this doesn't just pertain actually to reply dates. It's also, we have a transfer process. Mm-hmm. And so we're thinking about, with colleges closing and high schools closing, if high school transcripts are required for the transfer process, how does that impact our students and how does that impact our process? So we are, I think, collectively thinking about those types of things. But with regard to the enrollment reply date, certainly there are some colleges. My last count right before this was 289 colleges that have publicly stated on the NACAC website that they are extending their deadlines. Oftentimes it's June 1st, sometimes it's July 1st. So if you want to see that list, you can go to the NACAC website, and it's called the College Admission Status Updates. It's pretty easy to find, and we might have links. I can't remember what we put together for this presentation here, but you can see all of the responses. It's not just reply dates, it has additional information there too on what colleges are doing. Extending deadlines certainly it provides families with more time to make decisions. I mean, in some sectors, the economy is falling apart, and that's affecting our families certainly. And so that makes a lot of sense for some of those colleges. Other colleges are maybe not changing their deadline, but they're offering more flexibility, right? And so if a family needs more time beyond May 1st for those particular reasons, they should ask. They should write to the dean or the director of admissions and ask for that. That's really important because I hope that we all are offering that type of flexibility, even if we're not officially moving. And who knows, we're not moving, let's say this week, but maybe next week we make that decision. And so constantly check that college admission status update, and students can pay attention if there are big changes like that. I don't think anyone though is under the impression that this is going to open up all of May for visits. I just don't think that that's realistic at this point. So I don't think that that's the main reason why colleges are moving to June 1st. I think it is to provide some of that flexibility to families.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And then I would also want to make a comment that if you all take a look at the chat box, our audience has provided a link to the NACAC update coronavirus for admissions. And then also our parent company CapEx has also provided some updates on new alerts and new dates as well that you all can find in the helpful links, that link below. Okay, our next question. How can admitted students make good decisions about without visiting campus?
Yeah, so we've sort of alluded to this virtual world and what we're doing, but I would encourage students to try to visit us online, and online means a lot of different things, and so that might be paying more attention to our social media. I know that our current students and our staff are working actively on updating our social media and adding personality to it. We're doing like short little videos. For example, I just did one yesterday with my dog on the roof and so overlooking Philadelphia and welcoming the class of 2024 to Swarthmore. And so we're trying to increase our social media presence. Instagram, obviously there are closed Facebook groups as well, usually for admitted students or maybe other technology that colleges are using. Many institutions will have really nifty virtual tours, really comprehensive virtual tours. If you haven't checked that out, I would certainly encourage students to do that. Like I mentioned, we're doing virtual hangouts. There are information sessions. There are different things that folks are doing, usually from home, obviously. And so we had like this idea of having our dean walk around campus with the dog and have like a little GoPro on the dog, but we're like, that's not really super responsible if we're not supposed to leave our homes, which we're under that order here in Philadelphia. So we're not doing that, unfortunately, but maybe we'll do little dog videos or something for our students. Faculty outreach, alumni outreach. So we're trying to set that up for the admissions office, but if students want to reach out directly to faculty, you can absolutely do that. Now, I would caution a bit. A lot of our faculty are now teaching online, and we're not an online school. We don't have any online classes. So this is a really big learning curve for our faculty. And they just started this week with that after an extended spring break. So I would say, be patient with faculty in getting back to you. They really want to talk with you about their programs and their classes and everything that our institutions have to offer, but it can be difficult right now. So just proceed with caution. Student ambassadors, our current students are also grappling with that new realities, but we have a lot of really excited students. And so we emailed our student tour guides and said, who wants to help out? And we had like 600 little slots filled, and we're like, no, we don't need that much help. So they're really, really excited to get in touch with you. So certainly, if we're trying to make those connections with students, I think that's probably the most important. And then some other strategies: think back to previous visits, either maybe to that school, right? It might have been months ago or a year ago, or maybe it's to a school like that school. For example, if you've never visited Swarthmore before, but you've visited Pomona in Los Angeles, that's great, right? Like that gives you a sense of what a small school is all about, or a small liberal arts college. So you don't necessarily have to visit in order to really make that decision. And keep in mind, most of our international students actually never visit before making that decision. So they're already kind of used to using our virtual resources. And then finally, I would say not only pay attention to what the college is saying right now, but pay attention to what we said previously, right? What was our tone in our emails? Did it interest you? What kind of things were you really excited about, and what do you want to pursue now in terms of those really great research projects or those sorts of things? And then finally, what I would say is that if you don't have the ability to engage virtually like this, ask if there are other possibilities that are available to you, right? So if you can just use your data plan, or if you don't have access to high-speed internet, maybe you can get a USB drive with videos and materials on that sent to your home. We're doing that at Swarthmore for students without high-speed internet. So trying to think really outside of the box a bit, but I would highly encourage students to ask.
And a follow-up question from our audience, Grizel, will there be any leniency on deposit and enrollment fees for families economically impacted by COVID-19?
Yeah, I hope so. We were having a conversation before this of, every college is going to be different. Every college is in a different financial state. What I would recommend is either writing to the admissions or the financial aid office, or maybe both at the same time, and indicate like this is a new financial hardship for our family, right? And so if we can either get it reduced or waived, or even just move to the fall bill where your financial aid can help with that might alleviate things. So I would absolutely hope that colleges are responding that way, and I would definitely ask that question.
And how will COVID affect students on the wait list? Are colleges going to the wait list more? Or do you foresee more students accepted from the wait list? Any suggestions?
It's really hard to say, but I'll say quickly because, geez, we're already halfway through. What I'll say is potentially we might go to the wait list as colleges more this year compared to last year. We don't know the state of international admissions. We don't know what is going to happen with student visas, if students are going to be able to come in the fall, if our returning students will be able to return. We just don't have any answers from the US government at this point. It's probably a bit too early to predict how that's going to work. So we may need to have more waitlisted students come, or we may need to grant more deferrals for the next year where students take more gap years. I am thinking about colleges that are moving to June 1st. So some colleges will stick with May 1st, some will go with June 1st. What does that do to the wait list? Does that move it more into the summer? Whereas we, normally want to wrap up the wait list by midsummer if possible. So that will impact families as colleges are thinking about moving those decision dates. It's not impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but if you are, between two schools and they have two different enrollment reply dates, that may affect, when you would get a wait list offer, for example. So all of it is very fluid, and we don't have too many answers around that, but I think it will affect the wait list.
Thank you, Andrew. And we're going to go ahead and transition over to questions related to our juniors, class of 2021. Veronica, our next question for you is, how can rising juniors begin their serious research without visiting campuses?
Mm-hmm. I think, like we've already said, there is a good subsection of our applicant pool every year. That's how they start normally. It could be an international student. It could be a domestic low-income student from further away. They can't visit. Students who, every year, some students are going to wait to visit until they get admitted. There's a subsection of students who already do this every year. And by and large, that will remain the same. They'll go to websites. They'll go to social media. They'll have more opportunities to connect virtually. But many of us have already had some of these options before, an Ask a Student option, a virtual option. We've been partnered also with Wiser for years. What a wonderful company to connect alums with students and prospective students. So there have been already things in place that will just probably see a ramp up in use. I think according to some of the questions that we've had about current student employment, like Andrew mentioned, we're all also thinking about our current students and how can we make sure that they're getting the hours that they were depending on. They were depending on those hours, depending on that money. This is a great opportunity for us to then help the students at the colleges to make sure that they're feeding into the work that now we're going to have a little bit more to do online. So I think for some students, this is going to be as normal. They wouldn't have been fortunate enough to do the grand college spring break tour anyway. And so in that light, it could feel the same. I think things will change as the year goes on because some of those students would have tried to take advantage of a local college tour over the summer or maybe some tour in the fall that will be different now. But I think where we're ramping up virtual opportunities and where current students are getting opportunities to work, that's the point at which we're going to find just more options than what we normally had for the typical junior anyway.
And a follow-up question, how will this impact prospective student fly-in programs and summer programs that often occur in the summer?
Yeah, and we've been talking about that on my team quite a bit. We run spring fly-ins and fall fly-ins and summer programs through our office, opportunities where we can really make a difference in the college search and application process for an underrepresented student specifically. Not to mention the counselor programs and CBO fly-ins. In early March, we had our last counselor program, a room packed full of people. That was it. For months now, we won't be able to even have our counselor programs. So that it's going to be really different. We don't yet know what will happen in the fall. So I think, as Andrew said earlier, we're under no illusion that somehow, we'll all get to do visits in May. I mean, we're not actually preparing for that, right? That would be a hope, but we want to keep everyone healthy. So I think as we shift to think about the fall, many offices are kind of going with two work opportunities. You go forward as a team planning as if you could have the normal program. In a dream world, and if things get better, can we still do the overnight? So plan and prepare as if you were going to be able to do that. But we also have people in the office who are working on a plan B. So if this is not an option that will keep everyone healthy, what will be the other options, the virtual options, the connect student to student options, the admissions office hours options. So where I think most colleges are tackling future, summer and fall ideas that way. Prepare and hope that we can be in the position to do a couple of things, but also know that you need a strong plan B to go forward. And what is that going to look like for a group of students that may need extra attention?
Thank you. Our next question, what impact will the cancellation of standardized tests have on the admissions process?
Mm-hmm. What an odd blessing to come out of such an odd and scary situation. This is going to allow many admissions offices to finally make the case to their institution that for now it is a must. We must be considering test flexible and test optional options everywhere to the degree that we can. Maybe some students don't quite understand. An admissions office doesn't make the rules, right? We serve all of the constituencies at our institutions and more. So it's rare, right? It's not usually an option that an admissions office gets to say, we're going to be test optional. They are being told whether or not they can be test optional by a wide variety of stakeholders. So I'm excited that this is an odd blessing to come out of this, but that institutions that had been hoping and asking with good reason to be test flexible or test optional will now have the ability to say this is a must, and we will have a year's worth of really good data and good opportunities. This could spell really good, promising opportunities long-term that institutions could stay test flexible and test optional. Students shouldn't be afraid of tests, but there are inequities that put students at a disadvantage. And now we're seeing en masse across the country, across the world, a lack of opportunities for everyone. So again, this is an odd blessing, but I think it will then push admissions officers forward in the work they wanted to do, give them some of the data they need to convince the stakeholders that they can function as a test flexible or test optional office. So it's an oddly good thing going forward that could help a lot of people.
And Andrew, I wanted to get your thoughts because Swarthmore is not test optional. Mm-hmm. Where do you all stand regarding standardized testing?
Yeah, absolutely. No decisions really have been made. We're looking at it, we're reviewing it, we're understanding what impact not having test dates is having on our students, right? And so, to be honest with you, we are just trying to get through our yield season right now and trying to get our admitted students their decisions and financial aid and those sorts of things that we haven't made any decisions. So I don't have any news for folks on that, but I promise that whatever decision we make will certainly be thoughtful and will be given, a lot of time and attention. So I guess more to come.
Thank you. And I would advise our audience, if you're looking for a list of test optional schools, you can find that at Fair Test. If you Google that, they have a really great resource and they will keep you all up to date. All right, Veronica, our next question. What is your advice to students who have grown up with the understanding that junior year is the most critical for college admissions? How will you all evaluate next year's class with the knowledge that transcripts will be incomplete? Students may have challenges with extracurricular activities and or attending summer programs.
Yeah. I mean, this is an odd blessing as well. When this happens en masse to a community, as an admissions office, you are forced to take that into account. So this is not a one-off. This is not one student or one school or one city or state or country. This is a global conversation, and this will have to play a part in admissions training in the next year and more. There will be students who for several years may have a set of pass-fail grades. They may have incomplete transcripts. They may, there are a lot of different things that are going to happen that will have impact going forward. Again, it's a blessing that it's happening en masse because we all have to consider it. I think many of us are in a good position, right? We work with schools already that have a variety of grading policies, some that don't give 4.0 GPA, some don't give letter grades, some give written overview. We see a little bit of everything to begin with. So there is some degree of understanding that now this is going to have to be ramped up. We're going to have to prepare staff to read files in a way where we all understand that every school and every student is going to approach this in a way that serves their students and school community the best that they can. Again, with any restrictions or concerns that a district might have, a city, state might have, country. So again, odd blessing that it's happening in mass, but I think we're all prepared, certainly for the next cycle, but for cycles to come, there will be students who have this year as an odd year on what would have been their normal transcript. So I would tell, especially concerning grades, whatever a student's school is looking to do that's right for them and their community and the constraints that they have, we will know and we will be accepting of it. It'll be a lot of work next year. I know schools have in place really great profiles oftentimes that do get updated every year. I think updates going forward on those profiles on websites will be key. We lean on those when we don't have information about a school, but we will expect to see it from everyone, certainly next year and going forward. So I think students should feel okay that whatever is happening in their best interest, we will meet them there and we will figure this out with them.
Thank you. All right, our next question. There are, as a result of COVID, there's a lot of means for anxiety and uncertainty on the student and the parent point of view. Do you have any thoughts, best practices, advice that you all can share to really address student anxiety regarding the next steps and how to manage information about the admissions and financial aid process virtually? And then also any steps in terms of really helping our parents get more involved in how our counselors can direct them in the best way possible.
Yeah. It's odd to think. I mean, I'm glad we're having this conversation, and there's a lot that we have to figure out on both sides of the desk here. It's an odd conversation to have at an oddly stressful time where families have immediate concerns about health and well-being, about finances. I mean, there's a ripple effect, and it's real, and we're all experiencing it. So we want to be prepared for work. We want to do our work well. We want to anticipate things. I've been working with students who, they don't know, like their laundromat's closed. Where are they going to do laundry, right? Dad worked at a restaurant. Are they going to have enough funds coming in? My mom works an essential job. She has to go to work. Is she exposed? There are other things that it's okay to discuss right now that are not related to admissions. And we're all in the same position. We're all scared. We're all trying to do the best to take care of each other. I think that should be first and foremost. And that's usually first and foremost in the work that we do with underrepresented students. Many of my conversations only tangentially touch college admissions. It is all the other stuff that makes life really hard and therefore will also make your college application process really difficult. I think we want to make sure that students are taking care of themselves, that they're doing what they can to help their families. When we think about our most vulnerable students, they have significant family responsibilities and they're being called upon now to do probably even more in a really scary time of their life. So I think it's okay. I think it's okay for us to deal with real life first. It's our job as adults and professionals to prepare as best as we can, given all of these concerns. But we have to deal with life first. Like, this is life first. We have to make sure our staff are okay, our students are okay, our families are okay. And then out of that, yes, we will figure this out together in a real way.
All right. Okay, team, we're going to actually open up um, our panel to audience questions. Thank you so much, Veronica.
Can I answer a question that I saw here that folks were asking?
Absolutely.
Folks are asking about pass-fail. So if a school went pass-fail, what impact would that have on the admissions process? And I can speak for my institution. I can probably speak for a lot of folks, though. That is well within your right as a school. If you are going to pass-fail for this semester or for the foreseeable future, that will not have an impact on the admissions process. And like Veronica said, we see plenty of schools that don't even give grades at all. They give narrative summaries of how the student is mastering, concepts in class. And we have other schools that have already done pass-fail, and that's what we see every single year. So please know, if you feel like your community, your school needs to go that route, you should feel empowered to do so, and colleges will deal with it.
Thank you. All right, let's follow up. We have a question around financial aid, and I just want to, preface, our representatives here are those who are in the admissions, on the admissions team. And so what we've noticed at College Greenlight is this conversation is a little bit lopsided and definitely should require the POV from financial aid representatives as well. And so we're definitely considering bringing those representatives in a future webinar. But Andrew, Veronica, could you all shed some light on thinking about admissions and what it is happening in its effect in our economy? In light of future or current recession, how are colleges, or what conversations are you all having, when it comes to costs to attend institutions, especially for students who are coming from under-resourced backgrounds? And may mom or dad or parent or guardian may have lost their job. How do we solve for that? Or thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you already kind of said this. We're Swarthmore and UChicago, like the institutions we're representing are in a position where we reevaluate financial aid anyway, and we're able to do so. So every year I have students who we need to talk through circumstances. We need to work things out with our financial aid office. We have private funds to fill gaps. Like, we're so privileged to be able to do that. But the conversations that Andrew and I have been having with colleagues is really about the majority of institutions in this country that, like individuals, are being hit really hard. So most colleges and universities don't exist in the Swarthmore UChicago zone, right? It's not big endowments and big financial aid and private funding. It is, I am walking a really fine wire. I have a small budget anyway. The endowment has now been hit. The college is trying to take steps to make sure they are financially feasible and viable. Think about our college leaders. Like, I know some decisions are being made that seem kind of harsh. It's not usually out of malintent. I think it's usually out of they're playing a part to try and help their college and university. When your job is to just bring in a class that brings in revenue, this is an increasingly stressful time, not to mention all of the other real stresses that we have. So I think for students who are currently as admitted students in the pipelines to institutions that are privileged enough, right? They've read Need Blind, or they meet full need, and they have private funding. Make sure you go to them. Don't hesitate. Some of our students don't know they can even ask. We got to make sure that they know that they can ask. We got to be proactive and reach out to kids and make sure they have what they need, because we are in the position to make some changes. And then every year we do that. Every year we make those adjustments and are pretty able to keep afloat our middle income and low income families. I think nationally where this is going to go is, like, the majority of institutions that are serving the majority of underrepresented students are now in a really tough place and will be for a while. What does that mean? What does that mean given that they're educating so many of our underrepresented kids? What can we all do? Like, what can we do as partners? What should we be able to do as the privileged partners to kind of step in and help? to brainstorm, to think through, to lend a helping hand. Yeah, there's a lot there that worries me. The former president I used to work for, he used to always say, you know, what keeps me up at night, not the concerns of my current student body, it's the rest of this country. Like those kids are in a tough position. I can help kids at places like UChicago. What happens to everybody else? That's to me a little bit more scary.
Right.
And we're getting a couple of questions regarding IRS and parent signature, verification. I don't know if you all have any thoughts or to contribute, but I definitely want to open up the floor. You all can let me know what your thoughts are. But we did receive some really helpful feedback from an audience member regarding FSA, federal student aid. They host webinars consistently, and we'll follow up with you all and provide a link to the FSA resource so that you all can join in and ask those direct questions. Andrew, Veronica, do you all have any questions or comments related to verification process?
Our process is so completely separate. I work with my financial aid colleagues constantly. I try to understand the issues, but I really try to defer to the experts there. So I would kindly decline that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a whole, what we're seeing from talk about being in a difficult position. Our financial aid offices are meeting the demands of our applicants and of our current students. Yeah. I mean, the hours I'm putting in right now pale in comparison to the hours that they're putting in the financial aid office to make sure that our current students are also in a good place. That's a huge number of kids. Oh yeah, and then the kids that are currently in the applicant pool. They are, let me tell you, they're in constant webinars, constant communication, state and federal. There's a big conversation going, but we're only like one moment ahead with answers. I think they're doing their part, more than their part. They're working so hard to help current students and incoming students. I think updates will go out to our immediate applicant pools as we have them. This is the case with, like we said earlier, international students and what will happen to them as they're coming into their first year, if they can, to college. Yeah, I mean, complete in awe of what financial aid offices are doing right now to stay compliant in an ever-changing, role, and then also help at the same time, two different students, current students and incoming students. It's very hard work right now.
And a question regarding undocumented students.
Mm-hmm.
How will the current state of affairs impact our undocumented students?
I mean, this is incredibly scary, like to see students who, have minimal access to healthcare or who are already trying to keep low level because of other concerns. I mean, there are the already existing all of these concerns that undocumented families have. And now I can't even imagine the stress that that's causing. I don't think much will change for those of us that are private institutions that have the funding to support them. So I anticipate in the next year still being able to read those files and fund those students and admit those students. I wonder where those applications will be coming from, where you see this ebb and flow. So when DACA came into play, all of a sudden your undocumented student population in your applicant pool went national, not just local. Will that mean that our undocumented applicant pool will look more local in the future? Mm-hmm. Not just undocumented families, but all students? Like a question came up earlier about region, like are we anticipating that students are going to be hoping to stay closer to home in the future because of emergencies? I think this is going to have a profound effect on undocumented families as a whole. If they have family members who are in really dire health situations right now, I can't even imagine that kind of stress. Again, I think the private institutions will be able to keep their place in being able to fund those students and bring them in. But it's scary to think what else is going to be happening for that student pool going forward, and then all the added stresses everyone else has.
Mm-hmm. I would also just offer resources. So the Illinois ACAC has a college guide for undocumented students. It's on their website. and it's free. So it lists a lot of colleges. It asks colleges to answer a bunch of questions about how they support undocumented students. So that's going to be one resource. The second resource is something that I put together a couple years ago, and it's a Google Sheet. And it lists, I think, a couple hundred colleges that have varying levels of undocumented student-friendly policies. Many of them are going to be the more selective schools. And I know that not every undocumented student is going to go to a selective school, and I get that. But many of us have the funding for that and spots available. So happy to share that resource as well with folks. And I hope that you use those resources in support of our undocumented students with or without this COVID crisis on our hands.
And I would like to also add, before you all, when you registered, we had a link that we provided that compiled a list of resources for our Access Community students and families. We will be sending that resource guide to you all to check out. Veronica, Andrew, please feel free to share that with me. I will make sure to upload it into that compiled document. For any of my counselors or advocates who have resources, links that you find helpful, please feel free to contact us at info@collegegreenlight.com, or when we share that link over to you all, you can upload it yourselves, okay? We are at the top of the hour, and boy, that went fast. I wanted to see if you all had any parting words to our audience. Of course, ladies first, Veronica.
Yeah. I just want us to stay well, right? Do what we need to do to keep ourselves and others healthy. Let's do that first and foremost, because that allows us in the future to move forward with our good work. This has multiple layers. So it's about your students and families. It's about your colleagues. We're talking a lot about how we can help our staff stay well and healthy. I think we should all do what's right in a crisis and make sure we do what's most important first, and then know that we will come together in the coming weeks and months to figure this all out. It will be different for students this year and in coming years, but we will figure out that difference. We're going to do this in partnership. We just need to stay well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing. I think taking care of yourself and each other is really important. My first year as director, taking care of my staff and making sure that their needs are met, and that we're collectively working for our counselors and for our CBOs and for our students. And I would just say to any of the CBOs and counselors that are on the line here that you want more information, reach out to me, reach out to us. You want to have a Skype session and talk more about it or whatnot. We want to help. And that's really what we're here for. And this is why we agreed to do this webinar. And we could probably spend another hour or 2 hours, get our financial aid folks here, get our community college, colleagues here, and other four-year institutions. So I really appreciate College Greenlight bringing us together and making this available. But really take care of yourself and take care of each other.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you so much, team. I wanted to also just mention, if we did not get to your question, we are looking through all the questions that you all provided. If there was a question that was not answered, we'll definitely follow up with you all and provide insights on that. In addition to that, please look out for the recording of the email. More than likely, we were able to address all of the questions. And I will make sure to follow up with you all with those helpful links. I appreciate our entire community showing up today. I am so impressed by the chat room and how much you all have been there for each other and providing some really helpful resources as well. So I'll definitely make sure to compile that and share that in that compiled resource list as well. with that being said, please feel free. These are one of many webinars that we will be hosting in the near future to help inform our community. And if you all are not registered or do not have a registered account with College Greenlight, I welcome you to please visit collegegreenlight.com to create that account so that you all are aware of all of the different admissions updates, different resources that are related to COVID, or just advising resources that best support our first-gen low-income students as they're navigating these very choppy waters. With that being said, thank you all so much. We can be reached at info@collegegreenlight.com. And Andrew, Veronica, are always at your service. So please feel free to reach out to them. And may the force be with you. Thank you so much, everyone. And signing off.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.